What's going on, everybody, and welcome into DLF. I am your host today, Justin, and we are continuing our series of Week 1 preseason winners. This time, we are taking a look at the wide receivers. We got 5 guys here that are either winners, losers, somewhere in between, just from Week 1 of the preseason. Now, obviously, again, if you've seen the other videos, you know this spiel. There's not a ton to take away, a ton of meaningful information that comes from Week 1 of the preseason, right? Like, we know that. However, it is Dynasty, so naturally, we have to overreact. That's what we're going to do. So we got 5 guys. Before we get into it, though, remember, if you like what we're doing here at DLF, subscribe, like the video, questions, comments, all of that, drop it down below. We'll get back to you guys, as soon as we can. So with that being said, let's get into it. First guy on the list, it is soon-to-be Hall of Famer George Pickens, right? He is lit the preseason on fire, so naturally, he goes 3 for 43 and has a dime of a touchdown, and now it's wheels up, right? It is George Pickens' season. Yeah, he's a winner. He is a straight-up winner from this week, from the whole preseason already. There's been nothing but hype, and it's important to note, Claypool and Deontay Johnson have really not played much. They've been banged up. They haven't just been available. So Pickens is going against a bunch of nobodies and obviously outshining every single one of them. So take all of the hype, the excitement with a grain of salt. With that being said, George Pickens is going to be great. Like, he was my wide receiver 5 coming into this draft, ahead of Chris Olave in the same tier as Jameson Williams. And, back in February, I was out there saying, he's going to be this season's Elijah Moore. And by that, I mean a guy that went way too late in rookie drafts. And by the time we start playing games, it's going to be obvious that we made a mistake. And it's already looking to be somewhat true. And again, I'm not going to truly victory lap on August 16th. I think that's early. But still, everything he's done so far has passed the eye test. It's passed the hype. The analytics loved his early breakout. Pickens is going to be a very good wide receiver. I'm still believing that, obviously. Nothing has changed to make me move off that stance. But again, week 1, with Mason Rudolph, with Mitch Trubisky, he passed the eye test. That's test number 1. Now we obviously have to survive the next 3 to 4 weeks and see what he does during the regular season. But so far, he is a clear-cut winner and a guy that looks to be, on his way to, I'll say it, superstardom, right? Like that's the trajectory. Next on the list, and this one sucks. He ends up being a loser, and not by any fault of his own. It is Drake London. Now, right, he caught a pass. He looked great, yak ability, a big dude that is going to have a great season and a great career. But Drake London does get hurt and is now slated to miss some time. Right, he's going to miss this week of practice. That is the expectation, at least. And the only reason he ends up as a loser is you don't want rookies missing time in camp. I mean, that's really what this comes down to. A guy that needs to get reps with Mariota, with Desmond Ridder, the 2 potential starting quarterbacks for this team. You want him to build up that chemistry. Now, am I really concerned? No, of course not, because, again, top 10 pick. A guy that is going to light the NFL on fire, a physical freak, a just all-around very good wide receiver, and is clearly the best wide receiver on the team. May not be the best pass-catching option. Kyle Pitts exists and is a superstar or ascending superstar in his own right. But right now, Drake London, missing time, that just sucks. It also sucks we get to see less of him in the preseason because they might be careful with him. We don't know exactly how serious that injury is. It doesn't seem to be threatening any kind of real playing time come the regular season, but we never know. These kind of early injuries can linger. They can just stick around and kind of mess with a guy. So if he does have a down year and doesn't look right, it's important to remember, preseason week 1. And I think that's the only time I'm ever going to say that, because if this knee injury persists, it could limit him, down the road, at least this year, and make him an interesting buy low if he doesn't live up to expectations in a significant way. So again, those are the things to keep in mind. That's really the main takeaway here. The next one on the list, and this is a guy I didn't think I'd be labeling as a winner when I sat down to, do notes for this video. It is Isaiah McKenzie. And the reason he's a winner is he didn't play. That is important. Right now, we're all trying to figure out who the slot wide receiver is for Buffalo. Each of the last couple of seasons, obviously Cole Beasley has manned that role. He has seen 100+ targets. He's been, a viable flex play, and in deeper leagues has been fantasy relevant. Was it 2 years ago? He was extremely fantasy relevant. So now we're all trying to figure out who is that slot. Who's the guy that is going to battle with Gabe Davis for the number 2 wide receiver in terms of targets and fantasy points on this offense? It looks to be Isaiah McKenzie right now. Again, we have several weeks left of the preseason, but Jamison Crowder played. Khalil Shakir played. Those 3 guys are all fighting for that slot role. And the fact that McKenzie got to sit with the rest of the starters while the other 2 played, that's a big thing, right? That is a notable step. Now, this could be for a couple of reasons, right? Like, it could be they know what Isaiah McKenzie can do. They've seen him for several seasons. They've seen him in multiple training camps. And they just wanted to get a look and feel for Jamison Crowder and Khalil Shakir, right? Those are 2 very real possibilities. But for now, I'm going to take it at face value in that, the reports have been it is McKenzie's job to lose. Preseason week 1, it looks to be his job to lose. And if he does maintain that position, the wide receiver 3, the slot guy on this team, he's going to be fantasy relevant. He's going to have some flex weeks, some wide receiver 2 weeks, and is, again, a good guy to stash at the end of your bench. If you're in a shallow league, he might be on waivers still. Deeper leagues, he's out there. I'm not going to trade for him. I think that's an overreaction to the first week of the preseason, so don't do that. But if he's out there on waivers, scoop him up, cut your end of bench guy, and move on with McKenzie. I think that's a smart move. Jumping to our next guy here, we have Juju Smith-Schuster. And, how can Juju be a winner? He didn't catch a pass. Yeah, I don't really care because he's playing in 2 wide receiver sets opposite MVS and is going to be a starting wide receiver. He's been lighting up camp. I'm just going to take that for what it is and say he's a winner because in redraft, he's being undervalued. In Dynasty, he's being undervalued. Juju is set to, I think, again, be the lead guy in Kansas City, catching passes from Patrick Mahomes in an offense that is looking for a true number 2 behind Travis Kelce. It's going to be Juju, right? I think we would all be genuinely shocked if looking at this roster for this season, MVS, a guy who has had no success in the NFL, Mecole Hardman, a guy who has had no success in the NFL, or Sky Moore, a rookie who's injured and playing with backups right now and trying to figure out his place in the NFL. If those 3 guys outscored Juju Smith-Schuster, I think that would be genuinely shocking. Now, if you have to pick one that has a good chance to compete and, maybe beat him out at the end of the year, it is Sky Moore because he is the unknown, the 2nd-round pick, the guy they basically were hoping Mecole Hardman would be and very clearly is not. But for now, right, Juju is the wide receiver to own here, the wide receiver to roster in 2022, with Sky Moore being, the second best dynasty asset. I don't think there's any question about that. And to close us out, we have possibly the most talked about rookie. Treylon Burks comes up as a quote-unquote loser. No catches in week 1. He comes up with a carry. He's playing with the 2nd and the 3rd team and just didn't do anything, right? Again, you don't want to see your 1st-round wide receiver getting significant time with the backups basically into the 4th quarter. He is behind where he should be. With that being said, buy the dip. Buy the dip on Treylon Burks. Again, I'm going to bet on talent, and I don't care where he's currently playing. We've seen talented wide receivers not get on the field right away with this exact same coaching staff. Mike Vrabel, 2019, A.J. Brown did not play 50% of snaps until week 5. He was not a full-time wide receiver, meaning he's playing 80-90% of snaps, until after their bye week of his rookie year. We know how good A.J. Brown was. We know Treylon Burks was drafted to replace A.J. Brown. And again, I'm not saying it's a guarantee he's as good or as productive as A.J. Brown, right? They're probably far from it. That is a unicorn-type player that is just, a once-in-a-lifetime dude. That's what A.J. Brown is. Treylon Burks is not guaranteed to be that. But the situation looks very similar, right? He's not going to be a full-time guy right away. In redraft, I'm not overly excited, but knowing, potentially down the stretch he can add value, I think that's where the appeal comes in redraft. And then in Dynasty, I'm not moving off of, having him as a near the top of this wide receiver class, right? He's not Drake London. I don't think he's Garrett Wilson. But he belongs in that 2nd tier. And nothing that has happened so far is going to make me believe that, or believe that he's not capable of landing there. The asthma, the conditioning, the playing with the third team, I don't care. We see this every year. Remember a couple years ago, Justin Jefferson was behind Olabisi Johnson. Jamar Chase couldn't catch passes. All of those storylines. We get caught up in it because there's no actual news. So we just latch on to anything. He's running the wrong routes, which was basically a fake report if you read past the headline. There's a whole bunch of stuff there. So, again, Treylon Burks, he's the guy to own in Tennessee, right? Robert Woods, good, not a long-term dynasty asset. Maybe you get him as a low-end wide receiver too, a flex. Treylon Burks is going to be the guy for just many, many reasons. And we actually, as I'm doing this, I forgot I have notes on one more guy. So we have a bonus player, if you will, and it is Darnell Mooney. He's going to see a million passes. This team is going to have a hyper-consolidated target share between Darnell Mooney, between Cole Kmet. They're just the only capable pass catchers, right? Darnell Mooney had a great catch. The chemistry with Justin Fields is there. And he's a guy that, may not have, top-end, a top-end ceiling, which is fine, right? I don't think anybody expects Darnell Mooney to come out this year and just light the world on fire and finish as a top 12 guy. No. But as a volume-dependent wide receiver too, a top 20 wide receiver, absolutely. Again, if you watched the little bit of the Bears game that the starters played, nobody on that field could get open outside of Darnell Mooney. Mooney made a great catch. Fields put it on him in a place the ball needed to be. That connection is there, and these are guys that obviously showed a connection last season, and now you get year 2 of it in an actual NFL offense that's actually competent. Things are looking up for Darnell Mooney. If he's still out there and people are just selling him off because I don't want Bears players, buy it up, right? Again, I'm not giving up a high 2023 first, especially in Superflex leagues, but 2 seconds, or you want to give him up, Christian Watson in a second. I've seen those deals go down. I'm happily going to take Darnell Mooney because the production this season is going to be spectacular. And even when they do bring in, hopefully, Jackson and Jigba Smith next season, Darnell Mooney's still going to have a role. He's not going to disappear. We know he's talented. So, again, buy in on Darnell Mooney, our special, sixth winner loser here of week 1 of the preseason. All right, guys, that is all I have for you. Again, if you like what we're doing, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, get notifications. There's a whole lot more DLF content outside of what I do here. Obviously, you have Addison, Peter, and the rest of the team cranking out stuff for you year-round Dynasty content. You don't find that many places. You get it here at DLF. Again, comment, questions, love, hate, whatever I said, great. Drop it down below, guys. And as always, thank you for watching.